In your health headlines, many schools are out for summer, and that means more kids are hitting the pool and the beach, and we need to stay mindful of how to stay safe. So important. Dr. Mitchell Goldman with UCSD is here with us now. Thank you for being here, Doctor.
Good to be here, Susan.
Okay, this is it's serious business. I mean, drowning is a leading cause of death among children, infants, and toddlers. Let's talk about who is most at risk here.
Well, anyone's really at risk, but you know there are about 10 people that die from drowning every day here in the United States, and it's a leading cause of death in kids less than 5 years old. So pool deaths are literally, you can see these numbers, the leading cause of death among children, and it's usually children under the age of 5.
It's, it's so scary. And you don't have to have a lot of water. I mean, isn't that the big myth that you need to be in a huge body of water to drown?
Susan, it really is. You can drown in a pool, you can drown in a little kiddie pool or in a regular pool. So it's so important that when your children are swimming, and they're going to be swimming especially this week when it's really sunny and warm out, that they have to be supervised. As most drownings occur in the home pools with parents just not supervising. And so it's so important that your pools have a number of safety features, like putting a tarp on the pool that you can't get into, putting a fence around the pool. You want to make sure that there's no toys around the pools. And when the children are at home and you're at home with them, make sure they can't get out to the pool, because if you just lie down and take a nap, that's what's going to happen.
Awful. And we heard about a boy who died from dry drowning, and then a father, I guess in Colorado, had heard about the story and he was able to rush his son to the hospital. What are the symptoms there so we can let parents know?
What's interesting is that sometimes kids will go under the pool, they'll swallow some water, and they appear to be fine. But what ends up happening is that pool water has chemicals like chlorine in it, and it'll irritate the little air sacs in the lungs. And so what happens is the lungs will start to fill up with water, your own body water, within a few hours to a day or so. So if your child has submerged underwater and is breathed in a lot of pool water, they can actually get irritated. And so if your child is having trouble breathing, if there's sort of like wheezing and asthma effects, that's when you should really take your child to the emergency room, because about 50% of those kids will need to be observed to make sure that they're not drowning in their own fluids.
Oh, scary, and good to pass along that information. Let's get to some tips here, some basic tips. You talked about the buddy system a little bit, and then learning to swim, from a young age.
Most studies have shown that when children know how to swim, they're much less likely to drown. Now, learning CPR is something that every parent should know. And then again, don't drink alcohol when your kids are around the pool. A lot of my friends will have pool parties with children and adults, and it's so important that as the adults are doing their margaritas and having fun, there is one person that's usually, like my friend Dan and Susan, they hired a high school kid to basically sit there and supervise and make sure that the pool and the kids were doing well in the pool while the parents were having fun.
That's so smart. That is so smart. A lot of our friends do the same thing, where they go and they hire or they even get a lifeguard. A lot of lifeguards need a little side work. That way you can enjoy your fun and the kids will be safe.
Absolutely, Susan.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Good to be here.
Okay.